We are here at SEC Media Days. You gotta love it. You can feel the buzz in the air, and the Florida Gators are about to be at SEC Media Days today. We got Billy Napier touching the mic. We have Ricky Pearsall here at the table. A lot of good content coming your way. And I want to just address where I think Florida's at right now, because I think Florida, the way people are perceiving them is not unfair, but I think it's incorrect. Because you look at Florida and their win total in Vegas, over-under, people in Las Vegas have them at 5.5 wins. And so you look at what they had defensively last year, like, yeah, allowed 30 points a game, not great. You look at what they lost in a top 10 pick at quarterback, an AR, you're like, yeah, that's never ideal. But what the strategy is going to be, in my humble opinion, with Florida in 2023 is, I think, a little bit more than what meets the eye with the Gators. So for Florida, it's fair to have your reservations about Graham Mertz. And I'm going to go ahead and just assume that Graham Mertz will be your starting quarterback. That's the way that we have to talk about this conversation right now. I think he transferred him for a reason. I think he will have every opportunity to win the job in the fall. I think he will be your guy. And Florida fans are saying, okay, well, Graham Mertz, given his track record, not exactly spick and span. Not exactly, going to be an All-American if you were to project it in 2023. 19 touchdowns, 10 picks last year. It is what it is. Played a lot of football games. Has not been, a guy that you have to worry about when it comes to the big stage, I would imagine, having played in the Big Ten Conference. I understand the SEC is his own beast. You hear what I'm saying. Your excitement around Graham Mertz lies with his experience, and you hope that a new system projects better for him. So that's usually where a lot of the reservations start, the defense and Graham Mertz. But again, I think we're looking at Florida all wrong, because you look at what Florida has in that backfield, and that's going to be their bread and butter now. That's going to be the foundation of this offense. Trevor Etienne left, Montrell Johnson right. Maybe flip-flop a little bit of those. You're giving the ball to your backfield a whole heck of a lot of the time. Both those backs ran for over 5.5 yards a carry last year. Florida very quietly has one of the best backfields in America. And the fact that Graham Mertz is their quarterback and the fact their defense wasn't phenomenal last year, I think is getting a lot of the spotlight. Also, you play in the SEC, and so that's kind of its own gauntlet, but you hear what I'm saying here. Now, here's something that's encouraging, though. What Florida has in front of them, I believe, the blueprint to be successful to a degree has already been laid out for them from what a certain team in the SEC did last year. Really quickly, make sure you're subscribed right here. We talk ball every single day. If you like these short-form videos, I promise you, you're going to want to come right back here, 11 a.m. Eastern, Tuesdays and Thursdays. We got a live show for you every single week. You'll have content on this channel every single day. If you're a podcast person, you can find the full hour show in your podcast feed. Type in The Hard Count with Jody Pickell, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get them. I promise you we got you covered. So as I was saying a second ago, the blueprint for Florida was already laid out a season ago by a team within the SEC, and that's Ole Miss. Look at what Ole Miss did a season ago. They allowed 27 points a game, still not great. They had a quarterback that threw 20 touchdowns and 11 interceptions. That's not great. It's not far off from Graham Mertz's 19-10 at Wisconsin. But what did they do effectively? They ran the football like nobody's business. They committed to it, ran the ball 60% of the time. You had a running back in Quinshawn Judkins that went over 1,500 yards on the season. They averaged 250-plus yards a game running the football, and that's the key difference there. For Florida, they ran the football at a rate of 193 yards a game. That's really good. But to be able to be as successful as I think they want to be this coming season in Gainesville, they probably got to be over that 200 number, probably over that 220 yards a game number, which is a tall order. But you look at this backfield, they got the guys to do it. Trevor Etienne was only a freshman last year. Montrell Johnson, it was his first year on campus last year as a Florida Gator. They're going to lean on them a lot more heavily than they did last season, because you also had to make sure AR got his in the run game as well. But when I look at Florida, I think the formula is very much so there. I think the defense will be improved with Austin Armstrong. It sounds like they've gathered some more depth at key positions within that defensive unit. But you look at what Ole Miss did last year, and I just told you, quarterback with essentially a 2-to-1 touchdown-interception ratio, ran the ball really well. Defense was left some to be desired. They won 8 football games in the SEC. Ole Miss, with that formula, with a quarterback that wasn't lighting the world on fire and a defense that struggled relatively frequently, depending on which game you look at, still won 8 football games. In Florida, I promise you, man, they would take 8 wins. They would take 8 wins to the bank. Heck, I think they take 6 or 7 wins to the bank, because 2023 is about trajectory. Nobody's predicting Florida to win the SEC. That's not what 2023 is about. 2023 is about creating some momentum, showing a positive trend, and showing where this thing is headed. Because Florida now, if you've kept any kind of pulse on the world of college football recruiting, which you can do so on this very channel, following Josh Newberg and the Inside Scoop, which is also on this very platform, so make sure you're locked in. Another reason to subscribe. But if you've kept any kind of pulse, you understand Florida has been crushing it on the recruiting trail. They've been in and out of the top 3. Like, the Florida Gators have been on a roll when it comes to the on-3 industry team recruiting rankings. They've been on fire. And so if you're able to show, like, hey, this thing's headed the right direction, we won 6 games, we won 7 games, they get the over on that 5.5 win total, like, there's no telling where this thing is going under Billy Napier. And so I want to make sure that we have this conversation yet again. A lot of y'all are new to the platform, so we're glad to have you here, and we say this a lot about Billy Napier. I would be slow to make any kind of definitive statement about Billy Napier, because not all year one situations are created equally. They're not. What Billy Napier walked into at Florida is not the same thing that Brian Kelly walked into at LSU. The rosters are different. The depth was different. Now, the luxury for Billy Napier was he had a NFL first-round draft pick playing quarterback for him. But even so, the defense, no depth. There are skill positions that I think have been upgraded since then on the outside offensively for Florida. The bottom line is let it bake a little bit here. Let it bake. It's hard to walk in day one with the roster Billy Napier had and have success right off the bat. So, Florida fans, there is a formula that is out there that Ole Miss laid the blueprint for you to be successful in the SEC. It's going to take a little bit more from that offensive line, going to take a little bit more from that running back room, but there is the pieces in the backfield with ETN and with Montrell Johnson to get it done. So if you're a little bit bearish on Graham Mertz, that's okay. That's all right. You're not going to ask him to run 4 verts and go 5 wide and just have him throw it around the yard. That's not the game plan. The game plan is run the football, create open passing lanes for Graham Mertz when those safeties creep down, and put the defense in favorable positions and give them a chance to catch their breath by extending drives. The beautiful thing about it, though, we are so close to playing college football. So make sure you're subscribed right here. Make sure you're locked in. Make sure you're following me on Twitter and on Instagram at JD Pickell. Again, we are live tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. Eastern, right here from SEC Media Days. Got some guests that we're about to lock in here. Make sure you're keeping your ears perked up for that. We appreciate y'all. We love y'all. We will see y'all tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. Eastern, for the live show. We're going to keep this party rolling. We will see y'all next time. Hey, y'all. Thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also, be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.